Hey friends, welcome back to Bountifully Blessed. My name is Becky and we are going to be getting a lot of different things ready for the festivities that are going on. We have Thanksgiving this next week, and so I have some things that I need to get done. I'm going to be making some balsamic raspberry glazed meatballs for Wednesday for work, and mashed potatoes, and just a lot of good things. So I thought I'd bring you along. So tonight, I actually just need to get together my meatballs. I had to get the last couple things I needed from the store, so I went and picked up my last little bit of, cream and milk. And so we are gonna make meatballs tonight so that I can have those ready and set for Wednesday at work. So that's the first thing we're gonna do tonight. I already made my raspberry preserves. I did those yesterday. And so those are already delicious in the fridge, ready to go. So ready to eat and enjoy. And raspberries, so good. Raspberries heavenly. And then we will be doing the turkey on Tuesday. We actually have our church Thanksgiving on Tuesday night, and I am going to be making a turkey for that. So I will also bring you along and show you how I am going to do my turkey. So today we are going to do our meatballs, and so I have all of my goodies here all kind of put together. The recipe I use usually is for 5 pounds of meat, but I do not need to make that many meatballs. So I'm going to be doing 3 pounds of meat, and I'm going to take off my rings because I do not like them to get covered in any kind of gooey mess. So I'm just gonna get this ready to go here. So we're gonna do 3 pounds of meat instead of 5. And this is just how many meatballs we're making. So I'm doing 3 pounds of meatballs. I doubt we're gonna need them all for Wednesday, but I usually have a big batch that I like to make anyways that I keep in the freezer. And so this just gives us plenty of what we need. So that is the plan of action. These things are so great to make, and they're delicious and they're easy, which is so nice. Okay. So we've got our 3 pounds of meat. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of finagling with my recipe here. So I normally do 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. So since I obviously am going to be adjusting, instead of 1.5 cups, we're going to treat it just a little bit above half, which would be 3/4 of a cup. And so I'm going to do, that adds an extra pound, I'm gonna do 1 cup of breadcrumbs. I feel like that's a fair comparison. And I'm just gonna adjust it according. So we'll do that. Okay. So we will do our pepper and salt. Pretty easy there. So I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon for each of those. And this is actually fresh ground pepper that I just ground. Our actual cool little grinder that we got has been giving me so much grief. So I finally just put it in my, it's technically like a coffee grinder, the one I use for my paprika and garlic powder and all that good stuff. So that is what I ended up doing instead. So, okay, and then we are gonna do some parsley and red pepper flakes. And so I'm gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and I don't have a ton of parsley left, but that's okay. I only need half of a fourth of a cup, which that's perfect. So obviously I need to get some more parsley in my life. Okay, and then let's see, we are gonna do our eggs. I'm gonna get those all in here, and then we've got our milk and our cream. And then we can smash together. So milk, I normally would need half a cup. We're gonna do just a tiny bit over a fourth. That was really loud, sorry. And a fourth of a cup of heavy cream. Now, how do you gauge that when a fourth of a cup is already not that much? All right, well, I was so worried about not having enough heavy cream, I went and bought more heavy cream, and I had plenty of heavy cream for this. I'm gonna need it for pie anyways, but still. Okay, and last but not least, I normally would need 4 eggs, and I'm gonna do 3 eggs. And this. That one broke really odd. I was waiting for that to create a disaster. There we go. That was going to leave a little bit of a mess. We'll get that cleaned up. No problemo. All right. Now the part everybody just loves is getting all of this smashed together. It's the one part that I can say I don't mind, but I also don't love it either. Let's get all this goodness married to each other. It's one thing that I can say making meatballs is my least favorite part. My hand gets all cold and frostbitten feeling, but there's nothing like homemade meatballs, so it's worth it in the end. All right. And then we'll make our meatballs, and I'm gonna brown them on the outside. I normally do all of the cooking on the stove top, but I think while I'm doing the potatoes, I would rather put these in the oven. So I think I'm just gonna get them kind of a nice crust on the outside, like I normally would in the pan, and then I'm gonna finish them off in the oven. That way it's not quite as much hassle. All right, I think those are pretty happily married. It's looking about right. Yes. Cold hands. All right, so now we can form our meatballs and we can get these bad boys cooking. Now that I froze my hand off. And of course it's baking season, so I've gone through a ton of eggs. I have 1 egg left, which is just madness to me. Okay, we are going to get some cookie sheets ready here for our meatballs, and then we are going to put them in the freezer for just, I mean, just enough to make them so that they're nice and firm so that they stay together. That is a really, really handy dandy trick. So we'll get our aluminum foil on here. Gotta have lots of cookie sheets for this project. We need that enough. Plus, if I'm gonna have them in the oven, that's just gonna make my job that much easier. So I'm gonna get these formed. Just use my cookie scoop and get my meatballs here. So we're gonna get these all nice and shaped, and then we will throw these in the freezer anywhere from like 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It really depends on your freezer. I like to just make sure that they're nice and like kind of hardened a little bit. It just helps them so that they don't fall apart when you're baking them or cooking them in general. So making some pretty good sized meatballs because, you know, you need a good sized meatball. You can make them a lot littler, a lot smaller if you wanted, but I've always just used my cookie spoon, what's this thing? Cookie scoop, there we go. I just said it a minute ago, I don't know why I couldn't remember what it was. But we're gonna get these all formed, get these in the freezer, and then we will get them all nice and crispied on the stove top. And then I'm going to get our potatoes going after we get these lovelies going. So we'll do that and we will be back. Friends, so while we are waiting for our meatballs, we're waiting for the oven to preheat, and we've got the meatballs in the freezer just kind of doing a little bit of hardening so they don't fall apart. We are going to prepare our potatoes. So I have these golden potatoes. These are going to make some really, really good mashed potatoes, and so I've just got my sink here with some water to get the outsides all nice and clean. And we are gonna peel these things. I've got some water already in the back on my stock pot. That's gonna keep these nice and gonna get that boiling so that we can obviously do all of that wonderfulness with the potatoes, but this just helps get that a little bit better. We're going to be peeling all these anyways, just doing a classic mashed potato. So I normally, honestly, have been keeping the skins when I do them at home, but not everybody likes the skins. I used to be one of those people that absolutely hated the skins on my potatoes. I detested it. And now I actually really, really thoroughly enjoy it, but I have a variety of potatoes I really like to make. And I never thought I'd be that person that liked skins of my potatoes. So we are gonna get these all peeled. I've got this wonderful big pot, or big bowl here that I use to get all those prepped and ready to go. And we are going to get these potatoes made a little bit in advance to make my life a little easier this week. I need to get some more sweet potatoes. We're doing a sweet potato casserole. Actually, it's an orange spiced sweet potato that we're doing for a Friendsgiving, so that will be really fun. But this will take precedence for now. I can make those no problem on Thanksgiving Day. I'll have plenty of time to do that if I want to, because I have the day off. But this, I'm trying to make my life easier this week because I still work throughout the week. So that is our reality. Hopefully this is enough potatoes for our church Thanksgiving. If I need to get another bag, I totally can. I just got these at Costco. They were a lot better priced than my local Winco. These are usually a potato that I get from my Winco, the golden potatoes, because I can actually eat them. I've got some autoimmune stuff and I have a lot of issues with certain types of potatoes. And so we've discovered that the golden potatoes are great and I can eat them. And they're quite delicious. And they're not super expensive, which is good, because they can be quite pricey if you get the more expensive potatoes. I do love red potatoes at home too, but overall, if I had to choose, these probably make the best cost-effective potatoes, even though these aren't really that cost-effective. This whole pound, let's see, I need to check how many pounds. This whole bag was $5.99, which, you know, potatoes are fairly cheap. So I look forward to when I can just grow my own and I won't have to worry about it. But until that day comes, let's see how many pounds this is. You're looking at a 10-pound bag. So that's not totally terrible. It could always be worse, right? Right. And then I like to peel them right back into this water. Then I can just scoop them all back up, throw them in the trash without having to bend over my trash, which I've had to do plenty before. And I already have enough back problems without leaning over top of the trash can for 10 pounds worth of potatoes. So let's not. So we're gonna get these peeled and cut, and then we will get these boiling so that we can make some wonderful mashed potatoes for this week. It's going to be so fabulous. I'm so excited, guys. So, and then I've just got some basic dinner stuff going behind me. We're going to be making up some potatoes, or meatballs, sorry. It was actually really sweet. I told my husband that, I was like, well, what do you want to do for dinner? You know, it's kind of late and stuff. And I was like, if you're okay with waiting, you know, I'm going to be making these meatballs. And he just got this big old smile on his face. And he was like, oh yeah, meatballs. So I've just got some basic, what do you call that? Marinara in the background, just heating up and getting all that good flavor. I just added some cooking sherry and some simple ingredients to just help enhance its awesomeness. So that'll make life a lot easier while we're doing all this. So we'll get these all prepped to go into our stock pot, and we can make our delicious potatoes. There we go. And these are going to go in the crock pot too, so they'll be quite handy dandy. All right, we'll be back. So we got all these lovely potatoes all nice and peeled, and now we are just cutting them. One thing I wanted to make sure I did mention is the more consistent you keep the size of your potatoes, especially for mashed potatoes, especially if you're going for a fully smooth, creamed out kind of potato, you want to make sure that the potatoes themselves are as equivalent as possible in size and how you cut them. I am really big on making sure that my potatoes are nice and smooth and there's no lumps or bumps, and the easiest way to make sure that that happens is just doing your best to make sure that all of the potatoes are as evenly cut as possible. So my grandpa actually used to have, which was so smart, and I really should start doing this. He had one of the like fry makers. So like you took the whole entire potato, you'd stick it in this cool machine, and you'd smash the side of it, and they would all come out, and you know, even shapes for fries. And that helped it so that everything was always nice and uniform and everything would cook consistently. And when you have a really big batch of potatoes, it's extremely hard, especially because like I've got this potato next to this potato, and obviously those are not going to naturally come out similar size and shapes. So whatever you can do, however you cut them to make them more symmetrical in size is going to help a lot. So I try my best to do that because that'll help them cook thoroughly, evenly, and then I'm not having to worry about having like maybe one area is like perfectly creamy and then the next is all crunchy. So that is such a big pet peeve of mine when it comes to potatoes. Unless I'm making them intentionally with lumps, I want them to be smooth and creamy. So that's just my personal thoughts on mashed potatoes. I always have prided myself on my potatoes being nice and smooth and no lumps or bumps, and those things will get whipped to death. So we are going to finish getting these all prepped. Our meatballs are in the oven, and those are going to be for dinner as well tonight, which they are smelling so delicious. And just adding some marinara, you know, keeping it simple while these guys cook. So we'll get these all on the stove top, and we will have our potatoes ready to go soon. It'll be so nice. So we will be back shortly with all of the yummies. Okay friends, so we just finished with our potatoes. Hallelujah. 10 pounds of potatoes does a lot on the back, I tell you. All right, look at that big old bowl of potatoes. Yum, yum, yum. So we're gonna toss these in my wonderful pot of boiling water now. And we have our last batch of meatballs. Husband has already approved the meatballs, so they are good. So let's get these in the pot without hopefully burning ourselves. Let's see what the damage is there. Oh no, do we have babies? I'm gonna bring those cuties onto the camera.
Do I look okay?
Yeah, you look okay. Look at the babies. Oh, they love being carried around like littles.
Yes.
Are you helping mom in the kitchen? Or are you helping dad?
I don't know. I got up for a second to come and say I love you, but they started barking, so I was just like, well, fine, you're coming with me. Oh, see, does this.
They're the sweetest. Yeah,
Here's my little man.
We haven't got to formally introduce them, so since they're here, this is Fifi. She's our little girl.
She's a potato.
And this one here is Falcor. He was our first
He's an old
little.
man. He's 5 years old, huh?
He's 5 and this cutie's 3.
Yeah.
They're our sweethearts, huh? Yeah, lots of loves.
Yes.
Lots of love.
He's
So,
coming.
meatballs were good?
Dude. Yeah, I don't
Good.
know. What sauce? Did you just make that up?
Yeah.
Good job. That was killer. It goes really well with meatballs.
Yeah, just a quick little sauce.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was delicious.
Good.
I just wanted to come in and say thank you.
Love you, sweeties.
Oh, look at this. He put his arm around.
Oh my goodness, that's cute. We love our littles. They're so sweet. So sweet. All right. All right, so we're gonna see how this goes. That is a lot of potatoes. So hopefully when those start to boil a little bit, they don't overboil. I'm gonna have to put a lid on those. And I'm gonna eat real quick while we're waiting for the rest of our meatballs to finish up in the oven. And then we can get those cooled and packaged, and then we will be back to make up our mashed potatoes because they will be delicious. So we'll be back. Okay friends, so we are back and our potatoes are done, and so are our meatballs. So I have our lovely meatballs back here. They've been cooling and they are so delicious. So these will be nice and cooled and ready to go so that we can get these packaged up, and these will be all ready for Wednesday. And then I have always done the fork test on my potatoes, especially if I want them to be really nice and soft. What I like to do is I like to take a fork, and if there's no give in the potatoes, I know that they have been cooking long enough to where they're going to be nice and soft. So the nice thing is I made all of these really, really tiny, so they didn't take very long to cook, which is really, really nice. So we're going to get those, and we are going to blend all these yummies together. All right. I only made a small mess. My other pots have the nice little like straining holes on the sides. This one does not. So I can't be as awesome with it. Get my dinner dishes out of the way. All right, I'm just gonna stick this in the sink and we are going to strain these. Now there's a lot of different ways that you can season your potatoes. My husband and I actually, we've done, what do you call it? Well, that's gonna drive me crazy. HelloFresh. And we've learned a lot of cool little techniques from them. Put that there. And one of them was to actually reserve some of your potato water for your potatoes. I prefer to do milk if I want them extra creamy, all that good jazz, but it's really, really easy and doesn't take anything extra to be able to just reserve some of your water and re-implement it into it. It's actually really good, especially if you just want like a very simple potato and salt and pepper, like nothing crazy. So it's a nice thing to be able to do. I had never thought to reintroduce the water that I used back into the potatoes when I was cooking them. That always seemed super weird to me, but it's actually really good. So all right, we've got all of our potatoes, and we are gonna get these prepped. So I usually just start off with a potato masher, and the nice thing is because I made these so small, it's actually going to be really, really easy to not have to use my hand mixer, which if I really want to make sure that, you know, they are like really, really whipped good, I will do that. But I always just start off with giving them a good hand mash. And then I'm going to implement a decent amount of butter because, hello. Butter is a necessity of life. And if you have potatoes without butter, that's a crime. Ooh, actually, I have some that's already softened. I'm just going to use all this. This was the fork I used. It's obviously a serving fork, but it gets the job done. All right. Get all that butter in there. I can obviously add more, but that was half a stick of butter. I feel like that's a pretty good amount. Obviously do it to taste. Oh my goodness. These smell so good. I tell you, it's amazing how they can look like there's so much more potatoes when you have them in the pot and they're boiling and doing all that stuff. And then when you do this, you're like, wait a minute. I don't feel like there's as many. I know it's still a lot of potatoes, but kind of entertaining. Okay, so my standard of my basic, delicious, creamy potato, I always do milk and sour cream. And then we are going to use some homemade garlic powder. So I'm basically just going to do this to taste. So I'm going to give this a nice splash of milk. I don't want them to be runny. I just want them to be creamy. And so just get your variety there. And I'm sure I'll get the hand mixer out, honestly. Like, these are pretty, honestly, they're whipped pretty well. But if I'm being completely honest, I'll probably still use the hand mixer just because I really like to make sure that they are just whipped to perfection. All right. I think that looks good on the milk. We'll see when we taste it. Some sour cream. I like that I'm using this like a spoon, a mixing spoon. Gets the job done. Whew. It's a lot on the arms, but I'll tell you that much. All right, get my garlic. Garlic is a necessity in potatoes, I think, personally. And that is my, oh, it smells so good, guys. Ugh, garlic. I'm so excited for my garlic next year. It's gonna be amazing. I just know it. All right, and since I didn't use garlic salt, I'm just gonna obviously add some salt. Salt is a necessity. Beautiful. And I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. I don't usually add too much pepper when I'm doing my garlic potatoes, but I feel like they could use a nice little pepperness. Peppery goodness. And I didn't want to overdo it on the garlic powder because that stuff is potent. So, okay, let's give these a taste. Definitely needs more garlic. Can't even taste it really. So I'm glad I checked. A little bit more salt. And definitely need more sour cream. It's not very creamy. It looked more creamy than it tasted. You can also add some heavy cream, some heavy whipping cream if you want, but we'll use that later if we need to. And then I'm just gonna throw this in the crock pot because that's how we're gonna be serving it anyways. Plus it'll be really nice because I can just heat them up, no problem. We're getting them all ready to go. So we will be good. There we go, now we're getting somewhere. Mmm, so creamy. All right. A little bit more sour cream. That should really do it. A little bit more garlic powder. A little bit more salt. Whoops. And I think we will have it. I usually add parsley, but I just used the last of my parsley. So I usually add that more for color than anything. But you can add any kind of green if you want in there. All right. We'll toss these in the crock pot and they will be ready to go for Tuesday night. And then our meatballs we won't worry about until we actually get those prepped. I'll bring you along when I show you how to make the meatballs. We're going to be doing that on Tuesday night for Wednesday. We're just going to make all of the yummies together. I'll throw those in a crock pot so that they can stay warm for work and they will be delicious. So we're going to be doing a raspberry balsamic meatball. They're so delicious. Oh, they're so good. So I will bring you along for that journey. So we're gonna put these in a crock pot, put these guys in the fridge once they cool off, and get our meatballs in the freezer, except for the ones that we're gonna be using right away. So no stress there. So we will be back for some more festivities. Okay friends, it's turkey time. I am holding a 20-pound turkey here for Thanksgiving dinner. So we are having a Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow night at church, and I still work during the day. So in order to help my husband make sure that my turkey is going to be ready for when I get home and we can get it prepped and ready to go, I'm getting this all ready to go so that all he has to do is preheat the oven and toss it in there while I'm at work. So I have my 20-pound turkey here. It has been defrosting since last Friday. It feels like it's mostly defrosted. The bottom of it, the very, very bottom, still feels like, I can't tell if it's just icy from it being thawed or if it's actually still needs a little bit of coercion. So we'll find out. So I've got this lovely thing. We're gonna put this in the oven tomorrow for about 5 hours. And I'm gonna show you how I prep the turkey here. This is actually something my grandpa used to do. And I've kind of carried on that tradition since he passed away. And it's just been something that has always been one of those memorable things, and I always wanted to kind of be like my grandpa in that way. So that's what we're gonna do today. So I have got our turkey here in the sink next to me because it's messy. And I am not a stuffing person. I've never been a stuffing person. I do not like it. It's just not my thing. And so instead of stuffing the turkey with stuffing, I'm doing what my grandpa used to do, and I already have my celery and my onions prepared, and those will just go in the into the neck of the turkey. And so it just helps with moisture more than anything. So I've got our lovely turkey here, and let's see, I'm feeling it. Okay, seems to be doing pretty good thawing wise. Good. All right, so we're gonna get all of the good stuff out of this. I'll get my little thing out of the way so you can see what I'm doing at least a little bit. So I've got my turkey here. Like I said, it's about 20 pounds. I'm gonna keep it in this little thing here just while I kind of inspect it and make sure that everything can be taken out. It's still pretty solid in here. That's the hardest part, is the insides. Ugh. I think most years it never really is 100% thawed. Whew, that is cold, yeah. The inside's never quite thawed. I usually have to run some water in there to get that out. The nice thing is that all of the, you know, giblets and all that jazz is already taken care of, so I don't have to worry about that, which is great, because that's probably the one part that I absolutely do not like. And I just ripped it. That's okay. All right. This is going to take us a little bit just because it is still a little solid in there. So cold. All right. That's definitely working quite well. Hi, sweetheart. Okay. I think the rest is just the neck. We'll see how easy that is to take out. I think everything else is pretty thawed, which is great. Beautiful. All right, let's flip this guy around here. Beans. Ugh. Not too shabby. This is usually the least favorite part of any turkey prep. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal. I've never really had an issue with it other than the fact that it is heavy. Alright. This just needs a little bit more defrosting in the back here. The only area that needs a little bit more help. everything else, surprisingly, is definitely good. There we go. I got it. That took a little bit more finagling than I would have liked, but we got it. All right. I remember the very first year I did a turkey. It was so bad because it had not defrosted for very long. And it was so hard. I was holding it underneath, trying so hard to just defrost the thing. And oh yeah, it was just a nightmare and a half. So I've definitely learned over the last years that they just need a lot more time than you really think that they do. All right, let's get our turkey all rub-a-dub-dubbed. So I've got a nice roasting pan here. So I'm gonna put him on here, perhaps. All right, we're gonna move our, there we go. Much better. Oh, he's wanting to lean. There we go. Stay straight, little buddy. All right, so we're gonna lather this guy up in some oil, salt and pepper, and then keep it pretty simple. We're gonna put our onions and celery on the inside, and then one thing that my grandpa always did is wrapped it in bacon. So I have my bacon here that I just got all nice and defrosted, ready to go, that I have in my freezer, and we are gonna wrap this beauty in some bacon. That not only is a delicious addition, but it's also a really great way to help hold in moisture. All right. Layer our beautiful turkey here. Lots of oil. Salt and pepper. My joke going on around this time of year is Thanksgiving is the time where all of the turkeys get the best massage of their life. Because I mean, hello. Make sure we get underneath. Yeah, I think this is the best defrosted turkey I've had. Definitely. That is definitely the hardest part to make sure is that it is thoroughly defrosted. All right, lots of oil. Give this beauty some salt love. Not too much, but want to make sure that everything's happy. And we'll be rubbing it around anyways. Lots of good pepper. Usually I would just put the oil and salt and pepper together and would just kind of marinate it all together, but I'm just doing it this way. It just seems a little bit easier to just do it this way a little bit. Like I'm not making it complicated. Give this turkey some love. Now if you want a good herb chicken, or turkey, I would highly encourage you to do rosemary. Rosemary is delicious on turkey. I honestly have been debating just adding a little bit more to it and adding some rosemary and thyme, which is honestly probably what I'll end up doing because that just sounds really good. Usually I just do salt and pepper because that's what my grandpa always did. He was very simple in the way that he did his things to taste. So I am going to do some rosemary and thyme because I'm really feeling it. And I think that it adds a really nice touch to any turkey. Sage is also a really good poultry seasoning, so turkey is really good for sage as well. You could totally add some sage if you wanted, but I'm just going to stick with a couple classics. Stick with our rosemary and thyme. All right, make sure that I got that other side really well. Come on, little fella. There we go. Beautiful. All right, now we can add our onions and celery. This isn't something that we ever have eaten, it's just to help with moisture. But obviously you do whatever you would like. We are not stuffing eaters, so I will do whatever I can to just make sure that this stays nice and moist and happy camper. Beautiful. Gotta always keep those memories alive in some capacity. All right. Beautiful. All right, last but not least is covering this baby in bacon because bacon's amazing. So I've always kind of just played it by ear depending on what kind of bacon I had, how much of it I had, the thickness of it. I recommend not doing too thin of a bacon just because you are going to have to watch it more closely to make sure that it's not going to burn as easily. But getting a decent thickness of bacon is going to be big. So I'm just using what I have at home and wrapping it around it. And this is really going to seal in the flavor. So once you're going to do your bacon, keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn. And then what's really nice about it too is then you have a nice appetizer. We always enjoyed eating the bacon. It's hard not to. I mean, hello. It's bacon. Is there really a question? You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I actually think I don't have nearly as much bacon as I would like, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Usually I weave it, but since this isn't bacon that I got from the store that's all long, I pre-trim mine so that way it's nice and small. but there we go. Lots of love. Beautiful. Look at that. There we go. Now this beauty will get popped in the oven tomorrow morning, and it's going to be amazing. So I'm just gonna wrap this in a little bit of foil for my husband. That way, actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm gonna wrap it for the night, and I'm gonna make sure that he unwraps it, because that allows us to really see the bacon and make sure that it doesn't burn, because that would be horrible, is to have burnt bacon. So that is my own take on my grandpa's recipe. He always just did salt and pepper and oil. I added some thyme and rosemary because those are classics and they're delicious. I usually actually want to add some citrus, but we're going to keep it simple since this is going to be for church. I don't want anybody else to not be totally thrilled with it. So that is that. Nice and simple. So we will be back tomorrow when we are going to get our meatballs ready for work on Wednesday. Our delicious raspberry balsamic meatballs. Oh, they're so good. They're so perfect for the holidays. So that is my grandpa's with a Becky-fied version, as I would say, of how we do our Thanksgiving turkey. So we will be back later on our meatballs. Friends, it's Becky back, and we are making the last little bit of our holiday goodies. We had our church Thanksgiving tonight. That went so splendidly. I had our turkey, and I've got all of my bones and all of that good stuff reserved over here, all that good flavor, so that I can make some delicious turkey broth and stock, and that's gonna last me a hot minute. And then we've got all of that yummy turkey remains, all the drippings and all of the yummy seasonings. My husband is looking forward to turning that into some delicious gravies, so I have that reserved for him, and that's going in the fridge. And the last of our fun holiday adventures, at least for this video, is making our raspberry balsamic meatballs for work tomorrow. So easy peasy here. I've got my meatballs that we made together, and the recipe I use calls for like 2 pounds, but I don't think I need quite 2 pounds. But I do have my wonderful scale here, so I'm gonna put this, oops, the mode changed. There we go. Okay, just trying to zero it out here so I can figure out how many meatballs I want. Oh, this is still in fluid ounces. There we go. So I think I would rather do more like a pound or so. Let's see what that puts us at. How many meatballs? I want to make sure we all have enough. We're gonna have plenty of food. All right, I'll do a little less than a pound. I'll do like 1.5 pounds. There we go. I feel confident about that. There we go. Beautiful. So I've got all of my meatballs ready to go, and then we are going to combine all of our flavors together. So I've got this pan here, and we are going to be combining all of our yummy flavors. So I've got my crock pot here that we are going to be putting everything in. I've got my meatballs set aside, and we have our homemade raspberry preserves. We are going to do 1/2 cup of these beauties. Oh, and I forgot sugar. I'll have to grab some sugar. So we're going to do 1/2 cup of our homemade raspberry preserves, made with our fresh raspberries. Oh, so good. Actually, you know what? Since I'm not quite doing half the recipe, I should probably do 3/4 of a cup. So I'm going to do a little bit more than that, so I can make sure everything's happily married. So we'll do that. Doesn't need to be an exact science. If it did, I'd be in trouble. All right, so we've got our delicious raspberry preserves. We are going to add 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar to this. Let's see. And then we are going to add we're gonna do 1 spoon, let's see. Gotta math here for a second. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. And then normally I do about 1/4 of a cup of red pepper flakes. I'm going to do 1/8 of a cup. So not fill my 1/4 all the way up. And then I need 2 tablespoons of sugar, which I put my bowl away. Here we go. 2 tablespoons of sugar. And we are just going to marry this all together and throw it in our crock pot. And then we're going to add, I have some fresh grated ginger here that I actually keep fresh grated, and then I just toss it in the freezer. It is so, so handy. So I'm going to put this over the stove and we are going to get this all happily married. So I just spent just a couple of minutes on the stove to get that all nice and put together happily. So all we need to do is add our meatballs, add our glaze, which I should have kept my thing out. Make sure I've got enough of that beautifulness in here. There we go. You can always add more if you feel like it needs it. My meatballs are quite big. And then I'm just gonna add about 1/2 tablespoon or so of my fresh grated ginger. I'm just guesstimating. And it's really that easy. I can put this on low for about 2.5 hours or so, or I can put it on high. Or I'm sorry, I can put it on high for about 2.5 hours, or I can put it on low for your standard, 5 hours or so. And this is that easy, and they're so delicious. I already have all of our meatballs all cooked, ready to go. All they have to do is cook now. Basically just reheating with all of that yumminess in there. So I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more glaze, just because I want to make sure that there's enough. Oh, you know what? There's a ton on the bottom. I'll be fine. So that is how easy and delicious it is to make some raspberry balsamic glazed meatballs. Those are going to be great for the holidays. I really, really love them for this time of year. They just kind of have that cozy holiday feeling to them, and they taste so good, and they're really simple to make. So I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun doing this little video. Just lots of different Thanksgiving preps. We did a turkey, we did our meatballs, we did, oh my goodness, what else did we do? I can't even remember now. It's been a couple days, but I've really enjoyed putting this together, and I hope that you enjoyed it too, and I hope you learned something, and get out of your comfort zone, make something new, and don't be scared. Everything is trial and error. We tend to overcomplicate things. That's just how we do it. So most things are a lot easier than they actually seem. So thank you so much for watching, and I pray that you are bountifully blessed. Until next time.